Welcome back. We're going to have a little chat about LEDs. We've got Kind with us. We do a lot of business with the Kind LEDs, so of course we wanted them on our show. And LEDs are much talked about in the world of indoor growing, the benefits, drawbacks, the initial high cost, and we have the pleasure to welcome to the team Kind LED and their take on the industry as it stands today. Stay tuned. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you?
Great.
Listen, we're going to jump straight into it. I'm going to hit you hard. I know you might be feeling a little bit fragile.
Industry party was a little rough last night, I have to say.
It was good though, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Everybody still remembers the beads.
Ask us about that later. Now, tell us a little bit about the history of Kind. Why did you want to embark on this LED journey?
You know, we kind of got thrown into it unexpectedly. We've been a grow company for about 10 years. We have two other companies, Gorilla Grow Tent and Super Closet. We, like a lot of people in this building, were HPS users for a long, long time. And then we started to see a couple LEDs that were out on the market that were actually giving results that we had never seen before, and it sparked our interest. So we started looking into it ourselves and started playing around with a couple different designs, a couple spectral designs, and we were blown away by the results. So we actually kind of got thrown into it unexpectedly and have now become LED lovers.
Awesome. Now, a lot of LED companies claim that their lights can actually save the grower money. Mm-hmm. Is this the case, or do you think it's a bit of unfounded marketing? What's your take on it?
No, absolutely not. It's completely true. So it is a pretty heavy upfront investment. LEDs are not cheap, they're pretty expensive. But between energy savings and then also the lack of other equipment that needs to be used, air conditioning, extra fans, to pull, ambient air out and all that stuff. Once you start grouping all of that together, the savings can actually be quite massive.
Yeah.
Our LED lights use about 40% less electricity than HPS, so there's savings there. But it's really once you start getting into all that other equipment that's not needed in the grow room, that's where the savings really start to come in.
Exactly.
And then also, too, the longevity of LEDs.
I was just about to say.
Yeah, not having to buy bulbs every 6 months.
Exactly. So the optics on the Kind, are they 5 years before they start to degrade? Is it about a 5-year lifespan on them?
Yeah, LEDs have a pretty slow curve downward throughout the first probably 20,000 hours.
Yeah.
And then they start to kind of drop. 50,000 hours is what our LEDs are rated for. And the curvature at the end of that lifespan is pretty steep. But until there, HPS is slowly going downhill the entire time. Yeah. And actually 3 months in can lose almost 20% of their lumens. Yeah. Which is a bad light measurement anyway,
but
that's what all the HPS companies still use to this day. Yeah. But LEDs stay pretty stout throughout their lifespan.
Okay, cool. Now, another claim that I wanted to sort of ask you about is a lot of manufacturers claim that their 250 watt LED can outperform a 600 watt HPS. Is this true? Because some lighting people find it very hard to believe. And is this another example of marketing hype, or what's the situation there?
So, it's one of the reasons that LEDs have gotten such a bad name. There were a lot of companies years ago, and still today, that claim a 300 watt light can do what a 1,000 watt HPS, light can do. Yeah. And it's just not true. Yeah. LEDs are efficient, but they're not that efficient. So our 1,000 watt equivalent light pulls 630 watts. So that's about a 40% energy savings. Yeah. So once we got the spectrum dialed and then increased that power a little bit, that's when we started to see results that were actually true. And we back it up by a 90-day money-back guarantee.
Exactly.
If we give you that light and we say it's going to do what a 1,000 watt does and it doesn't, bring it back to us, we'll take it back.
And I think you're one of the only LED manufacturers that do that 90 days.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, if our lights didn't do what we said, I'd be broke and wouldn't even be sitting here today.
You wouldn't be sitting here today, would you? You've been in the UK for a year. That's a possibility of sets of returns, so to speak.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, per 1,000 lights sold, we get about 3 back on 90-day money-back guarantee. And I would have to say 1 or 2 of those are probably grower negligence.
Yeah. People going, I'm going to give this a go.
Yeah.
Okay, that was really nice.
And you're talking about a 0.03% return rate.
Yeah. Us particularly, we haven't had any returns.
Yeah.
So to do with the quality of light, absolutely zero returns.
Yep.
Now, one of the distinguishing features of canned LED as well is the ability to change the spectrum.
Yep.
Sunrise, sunset features, which the growers love. I think it's a fantastic replication of nature, because in nature, the sun just doesn't go bang on. Wake up, plants.
Yeah.
It's slowly you get probably different spectrums in the morning.
We like our gentle wake up and our,
And you know what it's good for? In the first, people might correct me on this, I might be out a little bit, but essentially in the first hour when the lights come on, the plants doesn't really get going. It's starting to wake up. It's starting to get its metabolic processes going.
Absolutely.
So the first hour there of lighting, it's not wasted lighting, but it's not being used to its full efficiency. So with the canned LED sunrise and sunset feature, the sunrise feature allows the plant to wake up gradually, and then when it hits 100% an hour later, the plant's thanking you because it's ready to rock and roll.
Yep.
And the same with the sunset feature. I'm talking a lot more here because I'm really passionate about it, but I love it. The sunset feature, when the lights go off at the end of the day, then there's big drops in humidity.
Yeah.
There's either rises or drops in humidity. So with the sunset feature, it means that the temperature is going to drop slower as well.
Yep.
So it gives the room more chance to cope with getting rid of the extra humidity that's going to sit in the air. So it's a really great feature.
Yeah, and the great thing about the dimming on our lights, it's PWM, pulse width modulation dimming. So when that light dims, it's actually pulling less energy.
Yeah, and I've tested this as well.
Yep.
We've used a wattage meter. We plugged it in, 630 watts, 640 watts. Those 30 and 40 watts are the fans on top of the LED, and so you really do get 600 watts from the LED. And as you turn down the blues or the reds or the ultraviolets, infrareds, you actually can see the modular decrease of wattage. It's absolutely spot on. I've tested it for myself. Really good. Now, you have a range of LEDs from the K5 1000, the K5 750, all the way down to K3s, which are smaller units. What's the differences between them?
K3, fixed spectrum light. You can't adjust the spectrum on that. We do sell it in a flower and a veg spectrum. Yeah. It's a little more. It's a little more for the price conscientious consumer. A little more affordable, smaller footprint, a little smaller space. K5, absolutely the flagship line. Adjustable spectrums, internal timers, bigger housing so that you can actually get true footprint size, which is yet another thing that LEDs have lacked in the past, I mean, if you're going to get what a 1,000-watt HPS gets, you need to have that much canopy space. You can't get it out of a 2x2 area,
Exactly.
And so, so K5, definitely the flagship. We have a bunch of stuff in the pipe as far as we have a new greenhouse light coming out.
Nice.
It's going to be nearly identical to the K5, except for IP54 waterproof. Fans are, put on the side rather than the top, so it can take dripping from the top of a greenhouse. And that one's going to be huge. That one's going to be a great light for us.
It's really well thought out there.
We're working on software right now to integrate into the K5, so you'll be able to use a smartphone to control it.
Oh.
We have bar lights coming out that are also waterproof that you can do in an infinite number of configurations. Vertical wall lighting.
Wow.
Basically, sky's the limit on that one as far as design goes.
Fantastic.
So we've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline.
I'm really interested.
We're always innovating, always trying to move the company forward.
Nice.
Yep.
So when these come out, I expect you to come and have a little visit to the NPK store and
Absolutely.
show us. I want to play with these toys.
Absolutely.
I am excited.
You'll be the first one to get toys in your hands to play with.
Yes. Don't be dirty, listeners. Now, the people that are using the LEDs, should they be doing anything different with regards to if they switch from HPS and they've just been growing in cocoa or soil or hydro? Should they do anything different if they're growing under LEDs?
LEDs, because they lack the radiant heat that HPS does, if you're growing in soil, you're probably going to be watering less, which means less nutrients, which means even more saved money, the conversation we were having at the beginning. One tip that I would give is raising the ambient temperature of your room.
Okay.
So radiant heat from HPS increases about 15 to 20 degrees on the leaf surface from what the room temperature is. So you can actually bring the room temperature with LEDs up to about 82 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, which just happens to be which just happens to be where CO2 starts to assimilate.
Awesome.
So you're getting more benefit from your CO2 and you're benefiting from the LEDs.
Excellent.
Yep.
Now, it's chocolate today. I want to spend loads of time with you. I'm going to invite you back to the NPK studio when you're next in the UK to talk about canned.
I'd love to come back.
But for now, what's the top tip you would give to our growers?
The top tip that I would give to your growers, use kind LED grow lights in your
That's
grow
what
room.
everybody said. That's what everybody.
Oh,
everyone
wait.
said their own little thing.
And Gorilla Grow Tent.
Come on, you're not getting off that easily.
Because they're absolutely the best products. Don't over-automate your grow. Everything is going towards automation these days, and plants absolutely need human interaction because they're living things, we're living things. And so don't neglect your garden through technology. Pay attention to your plants.
I like that. That's like a bit of a different take on just show your garden some love. We don't want our gardens run by robots. We are the growers. We are the instruments in their survival and their production.
Absolutely.
So, great tip. Don't become too automated. Let's go back to basics and let's get back to just growing plants without all this too much technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you very much for
Yes.
spending some time with us on the NPK Live.
Thanks for having us.
I hope you've had a great show, and I'll speak to you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.